Hi, this is my review of the Ultimate Toolbox. Ultimate Toolbox is like a toolbox, a kit to create your own dungeons and campaigns and adventures and all sorts of things related with any type of fantasy game. Mm, I actually think this book works pretty well with the Tome of Adventure design. They are published by different companies, but they work really great together. The Tome of Adventure design focuses more on creating dungeons, old school dungeons, while the Ultimate Toolbox, in my opinion, is more suited to flesh out the entire campaign. Now, each book can create other things as well. The Tome of Adventure can help you create campaigns, the Ultimate Toolbox can help you create dungeons, but each one works better in its own area, according to my experience with it. Well, let me talk about the physical quality of the Ultimate Toolbox. Even though it's a softcover book, it's pretty tough, pretty sturdy. The binding is somewhat loose, not exactly fragile, but it has that feeling that you're going to lose a page sooner or later. But it's good, it's decent, and the quality of the paper is good, the ink is good, and it has some pretty cool illustrations spread out throughout the entire book. Here is one of them. Let me see if I can get that into focus, and here's another one. Just to give you a general idea of what you're going to find inside this book in terms of illustrations, here's another one. And the entire book is mostly a collection of random tables that can be used with a D20. It has some pretty good advice about how to use the book, the random tables, how to give structure to any of the random results you get. It gives some pretty decent game mastering advice. Not exactly an in-depth study, but more like general tips and general advice. And well, let's see how this book is structured. The structure is pretty good. And this book is useful not only for the game master, but also for the players. Because, for example, in chapter 1, it's all about generating characters, about giving character backgrounds and paths, animal companions, pets, all sorts of color and flavor. So, for example, you're going to get tables that talk about character motivation and character features, rites of passage. So maybe your character was born in a farm, and he only has he has no mother or father, but he has 4 siblings, and maybe the character's ancestor was a powerful sorcerer, and the character's motivation is to find a cure for a plague, and maybe the character is never without a favorite item, maybe a sword or a pen or a shield. And maybe your character always has this deep booming voice. So it's all sort of details related to that. You also get all sorts of things related to class. Maybe you want to generate a barbarian rite of passage or a paladin order. Maybe you want to give names to your monk maneuvers or your songs if you're a bard. All sorts of things. You can even generate vices, virtues, mental disorders, crimes, everything you could think of related to your character's background and characteristics and color. You can find it in chapter 1. It's a pretty good chapter. And chapter 2 allows you to create the world. You have a world builder. You can build ecosystems, citizens, governments, religion, environment. It's pretty cool. You can build everything you want for a specific world. If you don't like buying campaign settings and backgrounds, pre-made backgrounds and things like that related to the world where you're going to be playing in, you can use this entire chapter to generate a world right from the start. For example, maybe you want to find out what the shape of the world is. Maybe your world is a cube, or maybe it's a swirling vortex or a cluster of stars, all sort of things. And And you can even find out what kind of name the planet has, or the names for the constellations, because maybe what if a group of characters is crossing the countryside, and one player is like, my character looks up at the sky, is he seeing a constellation or something? And you're going to be like, oh yeah, he's seeing the King and Queen constellation, right next to the star of the Nadir. This book is pretty useful to generate things on the fly, on the go, like improvising things. You also get a lot of hexes. Well, basically 10 hexes, so you can start creating your maps. This is especially useful for hex crawls. And you also get details such as desert names, lowland names, river names, maybe the weather, national transportation, national calamities, generic names for cities. You can even get all sorts of plants and shrubs and weeds, and for those druid and ranger characters that want to know exactly about the flora and fauna of a new place. National weapons, domain names. Whew, there's a lot of things you can use here. And then chapter 3 is all about civilization. You can generate cities, lords and ladies, law and order, architecture, crime, economy, religion, guilds, fanfare, NPCs, tavern and inn recreations. It's pretty complete. And then you have chapter 4. It's all about sea adventures or maritime adventures. You can generate ports and different crew types and objects that you would find in a ship, and names for ships, the high seas. You can generate all sorts of things related to pirates. And then chapter 5, this is the chapter that I feel is not as complete as compared to other chapters in this book. It's good, it's useful, but it doesn't feel as important. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's the number of pages, something like that. It's chapter 5. It's all about dungeons. You can generate dungeons, caves, dungeon entrances, trappings, books, labs, the way you find corpses. Maybe a corpse is decapitated, or maybe another corpse is all burned up. Traps, locks, treasure. Even you can even generate small details, so those rooms, those empty rooms, don't feel like colorless or just uninteresting. Maybe the room is empty, but there's a skull in the middle of the room, or maybe there are burned tapestries all over the room, or maybe this room seems like it was flooded at one time. And you also get tables to generate dungeon-related advice. For example, let me get to that page. Oh, sorry, that's not a table, that's just general advice. There is a table with some strange or quirky things at the end, but I'll get to that in a minute. Well, and the next chapter, chapter 6, magic, is pretty cool because it has a lot of magic details, but that are pretty much system neutral, so don't think this is sort of like a chapter of Bansian magic. You can generate magic items, components, and herbs, arcana, druid and witches related things, undead, the planes, the bizarre. This chapter is very useful for any sort of magic system, no matter the game. You can add your all sorts of rules. It's very rules neutral. And then chapter 7, this is all about the plot. You can generate villains, gossip, urban inspiration, quests and secrets, also all sorts of alternatives for themes and plot lines in your campaign. And then at the end of the book is an appendix, and you get all sorts of, you can generate all sorts of names and details. Like you got Gaelic names, East African names, Chinese names. And this is pretty useful when you want to generate an NPC and you really have no idea of what the NPC is going to be called. You just need to pick one of the names in here. And this is the weird part that I was telling you about. At the end of the book, you can get all sorts of, I don't know, wacky tables, like places to store this book, names of spoons, useless chart 1, uses for gnomes. You get all sorts of wacky tables just for the heck of it. And well, You also get tables for ambushes, campsite descriptions, wilderness traps, camp happenings, etc. Now this is actually a great book. I can't find an important negative part to it. I highly recommend it. I don't see why somebody who's interested in generating his own campaign and adventures shouldn't get it. This is a great book, and as I told you, it focuses more on generating the campaign, because the chapter of dungeons, it's useful. It even has some tiles to generate on the fly, but it doesn't feel as fleshed out as the rest of the book. So if you're looking for a great book to design campaigns, the overall structure of your campaign, get this book. And this, at first, it looks like something that could only be used with Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, but it can be used with Savage Worlds and all sorts of fantasy themed games, maybe The Dying Earth. And well, as I told you, I think it works great with the Tome of the Adventure Design. And I'm going to review that book in a future video, so stay tuned. Well, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thanks for watching my video. See you later.